It's a January night in the coldest, darkest part of the Canadian winter. Officer Russ Williamson and his partner are out on the graveyard shift.
I remember it was a freezing cold night that night. It was very, very cold.
It's cold but quiet until around 11:30.
Hi, dispatch.
There was a lady who had called in to state that her friend was being beaten and raped.
Yep, okay, we're on our way.
And that she needed assistance.
The caller's name is Christine, and she tells police a very strange story. Christine says that a man she knows named Daniel Garcia called her and said her best friend and roommate, Arceli Leogin, was being attacked.
Christine?
Yes.
Christine immediately called 911, but she doesn't have much more than the second-hand information she's already given.
No, she's not home.
They'll want to ask Garcia why he didn't call 911 himself, but that's for later. For now, police must track down Arceli Leogin as fast as they can.
She called him and she was being attacked somewhere downtown.
The friend confirmed that Arceli worked downtown Calgary, that she got off work about 10 o'clock. Normally we got home around 11 o'clock.
Where's that?
I don't know the address, but I can show you.
Okay.
She didn't know the address, but she had been to the place of work before, and she was confident that she could point it out to us.
With Christine guiding them, they head out to Arceli's workplace. But as they rush across town, another call comes into police.
My friend Arceli, I think she is being attacked right now.
It's from Daniel Garcia.
Daniel Garcia.
Garcia, the man who initially called Christine, is finally calling police himself.
Screaming! It's shouting!
It's unclear why he didn't make this 911 call immediately.
I thought people...
But he claims Arceli called him while the attack was in progress. It was noisy, confused, and unclear, but he thinks she shouted that she was downtown near a park. Based on what Garcia tells them, police begin a search of all downtown parks. Two strange 911 calls, a cruel winter's night, and a missing woman. Williamson has a bad feeling.
I had no doubt in my mind that Arceli was in trouble and needed help.
But where? While his colleagues scour the downtown parks, Williamson heads to the last place she should have been, West Canadian Graphics, her workplace.
It just so happens that business worked late hours. They did a lot of printing, and so when we went down there, the owner did in fact say yes, Arceli was at work that evening, and that she left the business around 10 to 10:30 at night.
But exactly when she left work,
Are you working with Arceli?
or with who, he can't say.
Is that thing live? Does that work?
That's when Officer Williamson spots a very reliable witness.
You need to get the footage.
The building is equipped with video surveillance cameras.
That information is hugely important because it gives us a last known location where she was at, but we weren't able to access the video surveillance right away.
Everything after.
He asks the manager to get that night's surveillance footage to the police station as soon as he can. And then, with the clock ticking, Williamson joins the search of parks in downtown Calgary.
I believe it was around 2 in the morning, maybe a little bit later. There was 14 to 18 officers, I believe, in the search, and we went out on foot. We were all given certain specific areas that we had to search. So we were using our flashlights to look around in dumpsters, under trees, bushes, by abandoned cars, anything at all where we believed that she could be.
They search every park and open space within walking distance of Arceli's workplace. Williamson tries to reach Arceli Leogin on her phone, but she never answers.
Hi, you've reached Arsenal. Please leave your message.
41-year-old Arceli Leogan, mother of 5 boys, traveled to Calgary from the Philippines.
She was a hard-working mom. She wanted a better life for her children. She had to work 2 jobs. Like, she has family back home in the Philippines that she had to leave behind.
Arceli is a quiet, shy woman, but has lots of friends within the local church group.
She made all these sacrifices for her family, so people just connected with her.
Arceli works 2 jobs and is also studying to be an accountant. But where is she now on this freezing cold night when she should be home from work?
We had a lot of personal investment into that to try and help her. And to try and find her, and she would be, you know, okay.
All right, guys, calling it off.
But the search comes up empty.
It was called off somewhere around 5 in the morning. It was disappointing. We were very hopeful that we would find her.
But that is not the end of this long, cruel winter's night.
Before we had got back to our office, we were fairly close. A call had been voiced by dispatch that a body had been found.
The body is not downtown, where police have been searching on Daniel Garcia's say-so, but behind a church, worryingly close to Arceli Leogan's home.
When we approached the body right away, I could tell that it was a female. She wasn't moving at all. She had black hair, appeared to be Filipino. This was Arceli. It was very disappointing to find her dead. I believe that she was the victim of a sexual assault and that she was murdered during that.
The search for Arceli Leogan is over.
This lady was a good person. She hadn't done anything to anybody, and this horrible thing had happened to her.
There will be no happy ending for this hard-working woman and her family.
You hear it happen to other people, but if it happens to a person you know and who happens to be your friend from the same country, like, it's just different, like it hits you like differently. There's just that sinking feeling that I don't want it to be her, but the Calgary police, they have the information that it was her.
Her body was in a walking path behind a church, and I knew she was Christian, she was Catholic, and I was Christian, and so knowing this horrific thing that had happened to her, yeah, I just knelt down and touched her and said a prayer for her.
Back at the police station, homicide detectives Jeff Bridges and Patty McCallum are assigned to find Arceli's killer.
Got a report last night. We had a call.
It certainly motivates you more when the victim is a completely innocent victim, and it made a lot of the people in the homicide unit want to drop whatever they were doing and come and help on this file.
Yes. So it doesn't seem to be any connection to the victim.
In a case like this, emotions are running high, and anytime you have a case that has violence attached to it, you'll have people begin to fear that it's going to happen again.
On a frigid Canadian winter night like this, police probably won't find too many witnesses walking around. But they might only need one witness. This one. Was she followed when she left work, attacked or abducted on her way home? Was Arceli Leogan's killer caught on camera?
As a video analyst, it's gold when you have something that unique.
Hi, dispatch.
41-year-old mother of 5, Arceli Leogan has been found brutally raped and murdered in a churchyard. Surveillance footage from Arceli's workplace has just arrived. Forensic video expert Kathy McCaw will help police search the tapes for clues.
What's recorded on camera is like the silent witness. It's reliable, it doesn't suffer from stress, it records accurately and dispassionately about what it sees in front of you.
So this is where she...
Kathy and the team play back the printing company's footage. They know Arceli's shift was due to finish at 10 p.m., so they cue up the tape to just after. The camera shows the back exit of the building, where employees usually come and go. All is quiet and still. And then at 10:06 p.m., a figure wearing the same clothes as were found on the body leaves the building. It's Arceli.
Everything seems normal?
Yeah.
She was wearing a knee-length black coat. It had a fur around the hood. She was wearing khaki-colored pants and brown boots and a black knitted hat. She was carrying 2 bags, one flat, slim bag, and then her purse.
Arceli leaves work alone. There's no one else around. Everything looks normal. But the video gives investigators a very important clue.
Okay, this establishes what she was wearing. Can I get a hard copy of that?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks very much. Welcome.
Thanks for your help.
So the fact is that we had a timestamp of when she left. We could see what she was wearing. That was a pretty good start for us.
Bridges and McCallum head to the crime scene to get a closer look in daylight.
Arceli's body had been removed from the crime scene, but it was still apparent that there had been a violent incident there. There was a lot of blood and signs of violence.
A CSI team searches. The scene is littered with trash, and it's not clear exactly what is potential evidence and what is just plain garbage. It will all have to be collected and bagged.
There was quite a few items taken. This definitely is a very unorganized crime scene.
But then they find something that could give them a solid lead. It's a cell phone.
The cell phone was smashed, and it appeared that it had been smashed deliberately.
Is this Arceli's phone? The phone she allegedly called Garcia for help on. The cell phone is sent for forensic testing right away.
We realized that there were personal belongings of Arceli's that weren't there. Her purse was missing from the crime scene. So it's likely that the perpetrator took the item with him when he left.
Investigators also comb the area for surveillance cameras.
Would be nice.
But they're out of luck. The path where Arceli's body was found isn't covered. Detectives change gear and focus on Arceli's personal life.
We need to make a list of friends, family, colleagues.
Does she have any known enemies? Has there been anyone that she's angered? Is there any other relationship that she's had outside of her marriage? These are all questions we ask to be sure of whom we're looking for.
They start with the people who knew her best, her friends Christine and Daniel. Detectives quiz Christine on Arceli's private life.
Does she go somewhere else after work? Does she go straight home after work? Who does she see?
Outside of church, she admits Arceli didn't have much of a social life.
She just likes to be home and cook meals and, you know, talk with her husband long distance.
She was focused on her plan to get her husband and sons to Canada as soon as possible.
She went to work, came home from work, and went to church and came home from church. Other than that, she had no social life.
Next, they bring in Daniel Garcia. He might have been the last person to ever hear Arceli's voice. Garcia knows Arceli from their church group, but is a friend really all he is.
So, tell us what happened.
I was at home cooking, and Arceli, she calls.
Hello? At about 11 p.m., he'd received a call from Arceli, and she was hysterical. She was crying and upset, and stated that at that time she was presently being beaten and raped.
I just hear screaming, just so much screaming, and I think she's in trouble. Arceli, are you okay?
Garcia claims that then the phone went dead, and that he tried to call Arceli back, but there was no answer.
I go downtown, and I see if I can find her. Talk.
Then, rather than call the police, he went out to find Arceli.
To tell you.
He assumed that Arceli was in the downtown area of Calgary somewhere, and he drove down in an attempt to locate her.
As he searched, he called Christine.
Christine, it's Daniel.
And asked her to contact the police.
She's in danger.
Police don't like it. It's unusual to head right into a crime scene rather than call 911. So they aren't going to take Garcia's word for it. They get Arceli's phone records right away.
Right. Guess what?
What?
Arceli didn't make any calls to Garcia.
Really?
The cell phone company told us that there were no telephone calls between the male friend's telephone and Arceli's cellular telephone.
He's lying.
Garcia's just lied to the police. And if he's lying about the call, what else is he hiding? Investigators confront Garcia with this new information.
Calling you.
What? She called me.
But Garcia sticks with his story.
I was at home cooking. Arceli's my friend. She called me.
Police bear down on Daniel Garcia.
Somebody say she was at a park.
No, she's my friend. I wouldn't do anything to hurt her.
And his story is about to take a turn that will leave police flabbergasted. Police are investigating the murder of 41-year-old Arceli Leogan. Her friend, Daniel Garcia, claims Arceli called him during her attack. But phone records show there was no such call.
We had to speak further with the male friend, who certainly was a suspect.
But then, there's a reversal.
The telephone service then contacted us back again and informed us that they had made a mistake.
Arceli, are you okay?
And then, in fact, there was a telephone call at approximately 11 p.m. from Arceli's telephone to the male friend's telephone.
The number for Garcia, and I've got the number for Christina.
His story was backed up by the telephone records. So.
Daniel Garcia has gone from suspect to concerned friend in one phone call.
Daniel, you can go.
Investigators are back to square one. Outside of church, Arceli's life consisted of work and her 4-mile commute to and from her downtown job.
Okay, then it could have been a random attack.
And if it's random murder, there's a chance the killer might not be done.
In this case, because of the violence, we're really focused on trying to make an arrest as soon as possible before the offender had an opportunity to reoffend.
Now, detectives must piece together what happened from the time Arceli left the printing shop to the moment she was murdered on the church path.
Arceli didn't own a vehicle. She used the train to commute to and from work.
And in this city, where there are trains, there are cameras. Hundreds of them, covering every platform at every station.
We knew that Arceli worked just 2 blocks from the H Street platform and that she took the train.
Found the cameras.
Detectives will follow Arceli's entire journey home on camera.
On January the 18th, we began receiving the surveillance video, but not all at once. It came in over a 2-day period. We had already located the video from her place of employment, so we had still photographs from that video, and we also had a description of what Arceli was wearing.
Woman, black hat, black coat, khaki pants.
That was just after 10 p.m., and she walked towards 8th Street Station, just 2 blocks away. Which means the cameras over the platform should pick her up just a few minutes later. Their eyes glued to the screen, they search for any sign of Arceli. And then they see her.
She was located arriving at the train station and walking up onto the platform.
And she's wearing that same clothing combination that she was wearing at a workplace.
It's obviously a very cold day. She's all bundled up. She's carrying her purse and another white bag in her hand.
That's her.
All right, so I want to see if anybody talked to her. She talked to anyone?
The platform isn't that busy. She walks pretty well down the length of the whole platform westbound and then stops. She's just on her way home and she doesn't speak to anybody. No unusual movements whatsoever. She doesn't look like she's looking over her shoulder or anything. She's just walking unconcerned down the platform.
And she did get inside a bus shelter, probably because of the cold.
There's someone else in the bus shelter. Anyone in close proximity to Arceli must be looked into. The bright platform lights distort the footage and make it impossible to see any detail. It could be a man or a woman, old or young. Detectives just can't tell. Police know if Arceli really is going straight home, she'll be waiting for the McKnight Westwinds train, due in around 10 minutes.
She was there approximately 10 minutes before her train arrived.
Right on time, the eastbound train to McKnight Westwinds pulls in.
When the train arrived, she got up out of the bus shelter and onto the train.
That's it. She's on the train.
So far, nothing is out of place. But there are no cameras on board the train.
Once the train takes off or leaves the station, then you lose continuity of what happens at that point.
The McKnight Westwinds train with Arceli on it is due at Franklin Station, the stop closest to her home and to where her body was discovered, in around 10 minutes. Until police get that footage, she's not visible.
The body of the female was discovered by a passerby while she was on her way to work.
By now, the story of the brutal rape and murder has made the news.
The 40-year-old moved to Calgary 4 years ago from the Philippines. She worked 2 jobs to provide a better life for her 5 sons.
Arceli Leogan was hardworking. She's made her life here, and she was somebody that you would never expect. So if it happens to her, could it happen to me? And I think that's generally what people were thinking, and it scared them.
The clock is ticking, and the city is on edge. Police know Arceli got on the McKnight West Winds train. They're about to see if she got off alive. And what they see at Franklin Station will solve this case.
That's him.
Arceli Leogan has been murdered. Police are following her commute home via surveillance video from Calgary's train system. They've spotted her boarding the McKnight West Winds train at 8th Street Station near her work just before 10:20 p.m. They know her home stop is Franklin Station, 4 miles away. The ride should take 10 minutes, so her train should arrive at about 10:30 p.m.
We had a time frame that we could search the video from the Franklin Station.
10:29, an eastbound train pulls into the platform at Franklin. Sure enough, Arceli Leogan steps off and heads towards the exit.
She doesn't do anything unusual. She's just on her way home from work.
Several other passengers get off the train with her, but none seem unusual.
She's walking by herself. The train station isn't that busy, and she doesn't speak to anybody.
It's very upsetting. Her demeanor is, I'm just going home. And by the end of the night, she will no longer be alive.
She'll be found dead less than a half mile from this spot. So police must take a look at the passengers around her at the station. They take a close look at every one of them and identify 2 men that get off the train behind Arceli and follow her along the platform. Is one of these men following Arceli home?
I'll back it up to the beginning here.
To find out, police will have to go back in time and take a second look at the people on the platform where Arceli got on, at 8th Street.
Yeah, this is the 8th Street platform.
Video from the 8th Street platform cameras confirms that neither of the 2 men got on when Arceli did.
Anybody match?
Nope.
So are they following her? Or is it a coincidence? There's one way to find out. Determine where these men boarded Arceli's train.
So we've established she got on at 8th Street.
There are 8 stops between 8th Street and Franklin.
I want to check every camera at every station between 8th and Franklin.
Each station has multiple cameras covering the platform. It's a mammoth task.
We wanted to see if we could locate the suspicious males.
It was about 4 or 5 hours of footage with multiple cameras at each platform.
There's no sight of the men getting on board at any of the stops on Arceli's route. Just to be sure, police check the cameras at 10th Street Station, one stop before Arceli boarded. And that's when they see him. Police recognize him from the platform where Arceli got off her train.
He seems to be a young male in his 20s. He's got dark hair. He appears tall. He's wearing a very common Carhartt jacket. He's wearing a hoodie. He's got work boots on.
He's getting on a train heading east in the same direction as Arceli.
Okay, let's play it again. Maybe we missed something.
But rewinding, investigators notice something very strange. He gets off the train, hangs around for a moment, then gets back on to the very same train he just got off. Not the behavior of an ordinary commuter.
This individual was hanging around, and it's very cold out, and you wonder why he's doing that. You and I would take the train from here to here, go home, go to the job, go out, but not take the train back and forth in the downtown core.
Police wonder why the man following Arceli is aimlessly riding trains. To figure that out, they'll trace his entire journey, looking for clues.
Once he was pointed out to me, I can go backwards and now look for him.
"11 minutes earlier, at 7th Street Station. There he is, right on the platform. He's alone. Then, he appears to ask another passenger for directions. Perhaps he is just a confused commuter after all. Until investigators catch a break.
A young Asian woman walked up onto the platform and began walking eastbound down the platform. That stood out to us because the young Asian girl looked quite similar to Arceli.
When this footage is recorded, Arceli is still at work. But when a woman who looks like her walks by, the suspicious man hides his face.
He's looking at her. He puts his hoodie up, and as she goes by, he kind of watches her, and then he pulls his hoodie down.
Okay, so that's pretty odd.
Investigators now have major suspicions. They cue up the moment Arceli steps off the train at Franklin and confirm it's definitely the same man getting off the train just behind her. It's an awful thought. Is this mystery man stalking Calgary's subway for Asian women?
We speculated at the time that he was stalking women on the train.
It's a big leap in logic. But if police are right, this is a very clear look at the face of a killer about to strike. Arceli Leogan has been murdered on her commute, and police spot a man they think is a stalker on her train. But so far, this video and a detective's hunch is all they've got, and they'll need a lot more to make an arrest. They've already looked through hours of video, but investigators are just about to strike gold. more footage arrives from Franklin Station, where Arceli gets off to go home. This time showing the station exit to the street.
Let's get this on the bigger screen. Take a closer look.
Arceli leaves the platform and enters the interior of the train station.
At the level that a person gets off the train, they go up the escalator. It's at that time that we see somebody in the video extremely close to her. We're talking a couple, 3 steps behind her.
He immediately puts his hood up and puts his head down, concealing his face, and follows behind her.
And this action is something investigators have seen before.
He does that same motion. Those 2 same mannerisms really hit home because it looked like that was kind of a stalking.
Another camera shows the same thing from a different angle. As Arceli and her pursuer reach the top of the escalator,
Freeze it there.
the detectives freeze frame. And when they freeze the video, they spot something.
What's he holding? I need the crime scene photos now.
A telltale clue that chills them to the bone.
He's carrying a construction hard hat.
The video connects what was one of the many pieces of trash pulled from the crime scene. And this is not just any hard hat. This one has been personalized.
This blue hard hat had stickers all over it, and they're placed in a certain way, which makes that particular hard hat unique.
Looks like the exact same stickers.
All right, this hat is the lead. Let's find this guy.
As a video analyst, it's gold when you have something that unique.
This hard hat was found at the murder scene.
Then, a stroke of luck from inside the police department. One of the officers at the station recognizes the hard hat.
Yeah, I recognize it.
Prior to becoming a police officer, he was an iron worker.
This is an iron worker's hard hat.
Really?
So the iron workers typically decorate their hard hats with stickers, and this one here had several stickers on it identifying the local iron workers union, Local 725.
With a picture of their suspect in hand, investigators head to the ironworkers' headquarters.
Detective Bridges.
Detective McCallum?
And when police show the union president a photo of the man in the video, he immediately thinks he recognizes him. Jason Watchison.
Okay, sorry, so that was Watchison?
He also stated that Watchison had a brother by the name of Christopher Watchison, both iron workers, and both also worked at the same overpass.
They have a record.
They run a background check on the Watchison brothers and find they've been in trouble before.
I pulled up the Watchison brothers. We did a search on them, and look.
They were both arrested and charged with assault. They were also photographed at that time.
The team compare the photographs to their CCTV stills of the suspects stalking Arceli. They hit pay dirt.
Christopher.
We believed it was Christopher Watchison in the video.
Police cannot be certain he is Arceli's murderer, or just caught on video in the wrong place at the wrong time. Until they search the house where he's staying.
While we were in the residence, I noted that there was a khaki-colored work jacket hanging at the back door. That jacket turned out to have bloodstains on the front of it. Those bloodstains were later identified to belong to Arceli.
Hey, look what I found.
Arceli's purse was found in the garbage bag along with pieces of identification belonging to Arceli.
Video footage has led police to their man, a sexual predator who raped and killed an innocent stranger he followed off the train.
Video made it possible that we could arrest Christopher Watcheson within days of the offense and get him off the street.
In April 2010, 24-year-old Christopher Watcheson is convicted and sentenced to life in prison for the first-degree murder of Arceli Leogan.
This man has been declared guilty. He's now behind bars, he's in prison. But you can never, ever get back the life that he has taken away.
She wanted nothing but a promising future for her 5 sweet boys.
Her case definitely will be with me forever. There's not a day that I don't go driving by Memorial Drive and see Grace Baptist Church that I don't think of her, for sure.